Hello there, and welcome to another Feck Off Friday.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We have some amazing guests today. We've got Jesse and Isabel back with the Healing Project, and we've got Sheri. Justin, I'm gonna go run backstage and do some sharing. Would you kick this off for us, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we got another exciting program today. We're back with Jesse and Isabel, some of our favorite dog caregivers, and then one of the people that they worked with, Sheri Rapp, who has some amazing stories with all of her dogs. So this is going to be very informative and inspiring. So I'm really excited today. How are you doing today, Jesse and Isabel?
Good, Justin. How you doing? Good morning.
Excellent, excellent. Any updates on your end before we get into Sherry's stories?
No, just want to just thank everybody that has been tuning into the Feck Off Friday show because it's very informative and we're like you said earlier, we're so excited to be part of it and just really cool vibe that we have going on here with the show.
Yeah, and it gets better every week. More and more people are tuning in, so it's snowballing, which is fitting for this season.
Yeah, the information
Um,
is amazing.
Excellent. So yeah, if everyone's ready, then Sherry, you can dive in, starting with Ben's story, and we can go from there.
Hi guys, how you doing today? Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Thank you, thank you.
So I found out about Jesse and Isabel and the Healing Project back in 2017 when my dog Ben was diagnosed with osteosarcoma. I had been through chemo with one of my dogs, Tyson, who also had osteosarcoma, and it was not a very good experience. He was very sick. He wasn't handling it well. So when Ben was diagnosed, I said I wanted to find something else. I was searching online for natural ways to treat cancer, and I found the My Dog Beat Cancer with Cannabis page. And that's where I learned about Jesse and Isabel and the whole cannabis protocol. So I got Benny started immediately before his surgery on the protocol, and it helped him with his recovery. It helped him through all that, and he did amazing. Really, I was surprised because this was my first dog. Tyson had part of his foot amputated. Benny had his leg amputated, and he did great. I got an extra almost 18 months with Benny when the doctors told me that maybe you'd have 2 to 4 months with no surgery, no chemo, no radiation, and they were wonderful, wonderful months with him. It was almost a full year and a half that I got with him, and he was happy. He was healthy. He healed fast. I was amazed. I was scared to make that jump to not go with chemo and pharmaceutical as the doctors all pushed, and none of my vets knew anything about treating with cannabis. So they were all very interested in how this was going to come out and how it was going to end up. So no one was against it, which was a great thing because it was no one saying, you can't do that, you can't give your dog that. They were all curious. So they all felt that it was a huge success to see how well he did and how much more great time I got with him.
That's amazing.
When you first started with us, Sheri, did you start with a certain vet and then the same vet with every dog after that, or were they
no,
vets?
actually. No, actually. This was my regular vet that diagnosed him. And then I went to an oncologist just to hear what she had to say. And I walked in and I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm not here to do chemo radiation. I'm just here for you to look at the x-rays, for you to get your thoughts on this, as a second opinion per se. I said, but this is the route I'm planning on going on, is treating with cannabis. And she said, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. She didn't try to talk me out of it, which I was surprised, because normally, like I said, they don't want to hear that, And she said, well, she looked at the x-ray, she confirmed. And of course, after we had the amputation done, they sent it out for a biopsy and it was confirmed, osteosarcoma. And she was really curious to see how everything was going to, end up. And I did also go to a holistic vet as well, just to see what she had to say. And she was all for it. And she was so excited to learn everything that was going to happen in this mode of treatment for Benny as well. So it was pretty much 3 different vets that I dealt with Ben.
Do you
Now,
know if any of those, or go on, Jesse?
No, you go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, do you know if any of those vets maybe integrated anything that they learned from your experience into their practice? Because I know a lot of times doctors for people and dogs that are fascinated and amazed by what cannabis is doing, but then they don't change anything about how they're treating other dogs. Do you happen to know if they ended up changing how they approach other situations?
As a matter of fact, my main vet, he has contacted me numerous times asking me for the number of Jesse and for the guy, and I gave them all the information. The oncologist I never heard from, other than I sent an email letting her know how well he was doing, kept her updated. She was interested to hear that. But the holistic vet, she was completely interested, and she was so excited to hear all about it because she had never used anything like that before, like cannabis. I like at least cannabis before, but she's used Chinese herbs and stuff like that. So yes, she also took down the information and they were excited to know. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I'm thinking, okay, here I go. I don't know what kind of, these people know my crazy. They know what I'm all about. And but you know what? I found two amazing vets. One was a holistic vet and another one was a conventional vet, but she was an older woman who was so excited to hear everything that I had to say when Ollie was diagnosed as well, and with my situation with Benny. And I mean, I have three different vets calling me all the time saying, what was this again? What was it? What was it you used? What was the number? Could you give me the contact again? So everyone has seen and the results that I have gotten now with two of my dogs and now on my third dog, and they're interested. So that's great that conventional vets are wanting to learn more about it.
So you started with Ben and then we helped out Ollie. Tell us what was Ollie's situation, Sheri. He had a mass as well, right? Osteosarcoma.
Yep. Ollie was diagnosed 2021. She was 12 years old, and I had just thought that she had like old lady shepherdy legs, like she was getting, like she was a little shaky on her back legs when we were going for a long walk. And then she jumped out of my Jeep one day and she was holding her leg up and I thought she sprained her leg, took her to the vet. They thought she had, well, both with Benny as well. First, they thought it was Lyme's disease. Then they thought it was a partial tear of an ACL. Both dogs were misdiagnosed first. So there was some time had gone by. I would say with Benny, probably 6 months before amputation. Before we finally got the diagnosis that it was cancer, because they thought it was Lyme's disease. First, they thought it was sprain. It was all these different things that we were just kind of actually losing time because we didn't know it was osteosarcoma. And then with Ollie, it was kind of the same thing. We thought she just sprained her leg. Then the vet said, oh no, partial tear of the ACL. So I was going to brace her leg rather than have an ACL surgery and see if we can get it to heal that way. And so I ended up taking her after about 2 months because it was very faint how she was like holding her leg. And he said, well, you know what? It's not her ACL. She has a iliopsoas sprain. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And so I asked him, can I use cold laser on that? And he said, yeah, sure. And I go, but you know what? I said, can we just do an x-ray just to make sure? And he came back and that's when he said, it's osteosarcoma. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was devastated. But as soon as I got in the car, out of the vet's office, my first person I called was Jesse and said, here we go again.
I remember
let's
you
get
called
started.
me from the vet's office.
Yep. I was in the parking lot and I go, let's get started. And you know what? I felt so much better knowing I have this to go to. I didn't feel panicked like I did when Benny was diagnosed. I didn't feel scared. I felt like I know I have something I can count on. And I've been through it all and I felt comfortable with it. And I just couldn't wait to get her started as soon as I got home. Let's do this.
And Ollie did really well. She did.
Ollie did freaking amazing. I can't even tell you how amazing she did. Now, she was 12 years old. She got her leg amputated. 4 days later, she was running across my backyard, like running full steam ahead, running. And I started her, same thing, that day before her surgery.
Yeah,
so I know it helped her through her surgery and her healing and everything. Yeah. She did phenomenal. I mean, it was 1 month short of 2 years with Ollie. And she would have been 14 years old in 3 weeks after I lost her. And I'd say she was on the beach running every day. I was always posting videos and stuff for her. People would stop me and go, oh, what's wrong with her leg? And I'm like, well, she had, cancer. She only has 3 legs. And I said, and I tell every person whether they want to hear it or not, and we're treating her with cannabis and she's doing amazing. And people are like, I don't think I asked, but okay. They got the whole rundown because I believe in this so much because I've seen what it has done for my animals that I can't tell enough people about it. Whether they want to know or not, they're going to know.
Isn't it funny that when you tell somebody about it and you mention cannabis, it's like the elephant in the room, all of a sudden everybody gets quiet, like, ooh, what did he say? What did she say? Because I was at the post office the other day and some lady was asking us about, what we did and stuff. And I told them, yeah, we work with animals and we help them with cannabis. And she was like, cannabis, what does that mean? And it was like, never mind.
You're like, yeah, they're not going to get it.
It's a lot of information. So yeah, it's some people they don't understand yet. It's real.
Well, I'm definitely helping to spread the word because I'm living it and breathing it and seeing it now with my third dog, what it does and how amazing it is. And I always said, you know what, God forbid I've ever got cancer. You're the first person I'm calling. Like, I feel so confident in what I'm seeing that I have a skin cancer spot, which I believe is skin cancer on my chest. I have an appointment to go to a dermatologist. I've been putting Feco on it and it's almost gone.
Yay.
I'm like, I can't wait to show the dermatologist this.
They're going to tell you, like, well, it was probably nothing at that point.
Yeah. Well, I just seriously, I want to use it for everything because it's, people are constantly asking me. I can't tell you how many people have called me, have seen my posts on Facebook or whatever and said, oh, I know a friend of a friend whose dog has cancer. Would you mind talking to them? I mean, pretty much on a weekly basis, I'm talking to somebody whose dog's got cancer. And I have sent you so many people and referred so many people to you guys because they're seeing it. It's not me. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just sharing my experiences and my pictures and my videos of my dogs on Facebook, and people are seeing it,
That's why we love you so much, because you love sharing the information.
Yeah, it's amazing, like, not just what cannabis can do, medically, but the hope and empowerment that it gives people, that, you don't have to be terrified for yourself or your dog, that there's another option that really can work. And, just the ability to take away that panic, like you said, with Benny, how you were so scared at first, and then with Ollie, that, you just didn't have that fear again, even though it is still a scary situation. Knowing that you can actually do something about it changes everything. And, that helps with the healing too, to not have that stress and anxiety. That's part of it. So it's a holistic medicine in every sense of the word.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, too? They always say, your dog picks up on your feelings.
Yeah.
I was a completely different person with Ollie, and now with Ruby, I'm like, okay, yeah, like it's almost, I mean, the words cancer are the scariest words you can ever hear. And yeah, okay, I cried and I was like, what the hell? Why again? But I felt so much calmer just because I know I have something good and healthy that's going to help them and not make them sick. And I always tell people, I go, for me, it's not the amount, it's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of time, but I'm getting both with this treatment, and what more can I ask for, really?
And Ruby, how's she doing?
Ruby is doing amazing. Ruby was diagnosed with a mast cell tumor, and I immediately started her on the one of the tinctures and also the nano powder, and I went the whole holistic route. Everybody's raw fed, and no crap in their food, no toxic chemicals on the dogs and stuff like that. But I didn't feel panicked. I felt like, first the vet said, okay, we need to do surgery. Of course, I joined all these Facebook groups about mast cell cancers, and everybody's saying, don't take it off. Don't take it off because you're gonna release all the histamine and the tumors are gonna spread all over the place. So I chose not to take it off. And you know what? It hasn't gotten any bigger. It just has stayed the same. And that has been 1.5 years already now that I started on that. But then she was diagnosed by mistake with an anal gland tumor in the end of June. And so I don't know how long she's had that because it was seen in an x-ray of her hips, just because her hips were very tight. And I was getting chiropractic for her. And the doctor said, have them do an x-ray of her hips. And the doctor did an internal exam because he saw a stool in her and he wanted to clean it. And that's when he found the tumor. And I said, you know what? I'm not taking it out. I'm not touching it. I've seen what this is doing for the mast cell tumor. And then we got her started on the whole full round of everything with all the tinctures and the Feco. And she, you know what? I take her to the vet every 3 weeks. She gets acupuncture, and we're doing rectal ozone as well, which I got my own ozone generator. So I'm doing that for her as well. And so every 3 weeks, the vet is doing an exam and checking it out. And it hasn't gotten any bigger. So I have to say, between the mast cell for 1.5 years has not gotten any bigger, hasn't spread anywhere. And now this anal gland tumor, like I said, could have been there for all this time. We don't know, but it hasn't gotten any bigger either. So it's doing something great. She's feeling good. She's running on the beach every day. And Ruby is 12 and a half now.
Well, like you said too, it's quality and quantity of life as well. And it sounds like you're getting both.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I was 1 month short of 2 years with Ollie. I mean, that's amazing for osteosarcoma and a 12-year-old dog. She had bloated
Yeah.
at year 1. It was she was freaking out from a storm, and all of a sudden I saw her. She was trying to vomit and nothing's coming out. I had to rush her to the vet where her stomach came away from the abdominal wall. Rushed her to the vet, which was an hour away, and I called them and they said, hurry up and get here. The vet said, okay, I gotta be honest with you. She's 12 years old, or she was 13 at the time. She's 13 years old. She's got a 1-year history of osteosarcoma. It took an hour to get here. Between the cancer, which most likely has spread all over her body, and the fact that it took you an hour to get here, I can tell you the prognosis is not very well. I go, that dog was running on the beach 4 hours ago. Cut her open. And she said she did some chest x-rays and stuff first before she cut her open. And she said she didn't see any cancer. Well, of course, they had her entire stomach cut open. The doctor said, I did not see anything that looked like cancer inside her. She goes, I even redid x-rays, chest x-rays. And she said, we saw nothing. And she was amazed that at a year, like I said, they checked her out pretty good inside her and with the x-rays. And she was good. Like the doctors were amazed there.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
It's
Yeah, it
not
was
typical
amazing.
either for osteo, like you said. That's not a typical thing that would happen months or even years later. From what we've heard from other clients when we've helped them before they get to us, same kind of thing. You know, they've lost another doggy, and other dogs that they've had have had different types of cancer. I tell people this all the time. The cannabis oil doesn't care what type of cancer. Like, for example, with Ruby, if it was a specific type of cancer and we were treating it with a specific type of cannabis oil just for that type of cancer, then what would have happened with the other cancer? We wouldn't have helped it. But that's not the case. You know, the cannabis oil, we typically choose the medicines that we feel are the best for all cancers. And we don't do anything specifically for like a specific strain for a specific type of cancer. But all of the medicines that we have, or that we are able to get, actually, man, they do the exact same thing for all cancer. It's great stuff. And so I'm just glad that Ruby responded to it the way she did, because if we wouldn't have found that other mass, the anal mass, then, you know, who knows what could have happened down the road. And, you know, you would have found out later with scans or something.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting because the vet said, you know, do you want to do a biopsy of that? I go, no, I don't want to touch it. I go, I'm treating her with the cannabis, and I wouldn't be treating her any differently, regardless of what kind of tumor it is. We're treating her with the protocol, like you said. And it's how, you know, whether it's a different kind of cancer or not, this is how we're treating her, is with cannabis. So it's not going to change the way I'm going to treat her. So, and she's doing magnificent. So that's all I can ask for. I'm so thankful to have met you guys and found you guys, because you've made such a difference in my animals' lives and my life, because cancer is not such a scary word to me now.
Mm.
That's amazing in itself, to get over that fear. That it's amazing. Yeah, even without the direct effects, it's just so incredible.
Yeah,
I remember
the
being a kid,
government can feck off for making us all feel like it's supposed to be this big, scary thing.
Yeah. I tell this to Isabel all the time. When I was a kid, you know, I'm 50 now, but when I was a kid, I don't remember anybody in our family circle of friends that had cancer. We would hear about cancer like it was somebody else's problem, right? Like, ooh, somebody got cancer, and then cancer, you know, everybody got all quiet about it. But now everybody pretty much knows somebody, even including our animals. You know, I don't remember ever hearing of an animal having cancer when I was a kid. The worst thing they would get was maybe parvo or mange or rabies. I don't know, but not cancer.
Rabies is something to fear.
Yeah, and now it's like a common thing for people and dogs to get cancer. It's crazy because of all the things that we're experiencing in our diet and our environment. We don't know what it could be, but it just seems like it's so prevalent now, you know?
Good thing cannabis doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing is cancer is so rampant in my family. Pretty much every person in my family has had some type of cancer. So it's inevitable for me. And I just feel so not scared anymore because I feel like I have something in the arsenal now that's not going to make me sick after I've seen so many people go through chemo. And seriously, besides what it's doing for my animals, mentally for me, it has done so much that I can't even tell you guys that it's just not such a scary word anymore.
Yeah, if it's common in the family, I mean, anyone who has a huge family history of it or genetic predisposition should probably be on at least moderate doses of CBD and ideally low doses of THC for, just potentially getting ahead of it. It can't hurt and it very well could help. And there is initial scientific evidence supporting that. So, with so little risk, why not?
You know what? That's a great idea. And I don't know why I never thought of that, not taking it for myself. I think I should start doing that.
Prevention is key.
Everybody should
Prevention
be.
is key.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
glad to help out with that comment.
If you can prevent it, then you don't have to battle it.
Well, you know
Also
what? I'm always on
prevention
top of
sounded
everything
good.
with my animals, but I'm
It's
always
typical that way,
last to worry
though.
about.
It seems like we take more care in taking care of somebody else than we do ourselves. You know, we were taking care of my mother for 5 years and I neglected myself for that whole time. So it's that time, Sheri. We gotta think about ourselves sometimes and be proactive. We tell people this all the time when God forbid we talk to somebody and they lose a loved one from cancer. They typically come back and say, well, now I know what I need to be doing for my next animal, and maybe I just do it preventatively now. Prevent it like prophylactically or preventatively. It's a lot better. I mean, I take tons and tons of CBD and THC. Not only does it make me feel good, and I'm less, aggro. I don't have any aches and pains. I have a good appetite. I'm 50. I could still do stuff with my daughters. They're still, kids, and I don't ever feel my age. And I'm 100% sure it's because of the medicine that I take, the CBD and THC combo. But really, everybody should take it. My wife takes it. We give CBD to our daughters on a regular basis. Our cat takes it, and there's nothing wrong with them. But to be preventative, it's just, yeah, it's another, it's way better, I think.
It's just another level of health.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you're saying about that. You said your cat takes it. I think I told you, Jesse, just recently, I put the Feco and the tincture into a capsule for Ruby, and my cat grabbed it and ate it. she was so stoned, but she was so happy. I don't think I ever heard her purr so loud. We were laughing. She's eating, the food's falling out of her mouth. She was just happy as a clam. She purred so loud. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. But you know what? She was a happy camper, and I think she'd eat it again if she had the opportunity to.
That's the
And that
best
was
part
CBD
about cannabis.
Feco.
There's no danger in it, no matter how much you take. We used to give it to our rabbit because she had like real bad anxiety. When we got her, she was a rescue. And she was all like, we couldn't even get close to her. She would freak out. And so what we would do is put it on her paw because they don't like it on there. And so I think I even told you to do it like that, Sheri, to put it on their paw because they lick it up. And she would lick it up and it was just CBD, but man, she would be so cool. She would let us give her a bath and she would lay on her bellies while we watch TV. So yeah, it's a miracle stuff. Magic.
Yeah, I've never heard of it being used for a rabbit, but
we've given it to
systems too.
iguanas, to rats, horses. I mean, every animal you could think of. If they have a spine, a vertebrae, they can take it.
Rats is actually, there's like tons and tons of evidence of it fighting cancer in rats. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like that is very, very well
We actually helped, she's like a circus performer. If she's watching the podcast, I don't want to say her name, but she had two rats that were like her buddies.
That's right.
And they were like hairless rats that she would use in her show. And they both developed like mast cell tumors everywhere. And we started helping the little rats. Like, it sounds bad to say rats, but no, the little guys that with the medicine, and it cleared it right up. I mean, they responded quick, really quick. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's interesting because I belong to a bunch of different like dog cancer groups like online. And every time I hear somebody say, you can't give THC to animals, that's toxic, that's poison, I'm like, oh my God, like it's horrible because there's so many people that they're making afraid of it when it's
Oh, yeah.
saving
Yeah, they
so
need to feck
many. But
off.
Yeah.
yes. It makes me crazy when I see somebody say that.
It's because
Don't,
they've
you
just
can't give
heard
that to
about
animals.
the overdoses. They've heard about the dogs who eat like, the 50 milligram edible at once and have a terrible experience. I mean, and even that's not going to kill them, but it's definitely real, it's not good for the dog to take too much, but it's not toxic in the sense of doing permanent damage. And even those effects can be prevented by just starting with low doses and slowly increasing. So it's always, the
No,
accidental ingestions that lead to those effects.
true.
Well, I have to say, when the cat ate it, I was like, holy crap, but I wasn't freaking out because I had listened to what Jesse and Isabel have said about the animals. And like I said, I just saw her. She wasn't in any distress. And that was a lot for a little cat that she ate, it was all in one capsule. So I didn't freak out. I was a little like, ooh, I'm just going to keep an eye on her. But I didn't freak out like I would have if I didn't know what I know now,
I think that's it. That's the key to everything. If you just don't know, it's gonna freak you out. But once you do,
Yeah.
it's all good. It's okay. You'll just write it out. You'll be okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, it's interesting too how each one of my dogs responded to it. Like Ben, he was super like hypersensitive to it, and I had to do a little like step back
mhm.
until we got him to where he had to be. Like I had to step back a couple times because he was being a little like loopy or whatever, a little too high. And Ollie, it was like I was handing her Tic Tacs. It was like nothing. Same thing with Ruby. So it was interesting to see how each one of them reacted to it differently. Someone could make, I guess, them more sleepy or whatever, but Benny was definitely a little more sensitive to it than Ollie
Just
and
like
Ruby. I mean,
people.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah, it's the same for people. You were talking about it earlier, Justin. 50 milligrams for a doggy would be a ton, but think about it. If a person that has never tried it before takes 50 milligrams,
Oh,
they're going to
same
be
thing,
really
same
high.
thing.
Yeah, exact same thing. So I always tell people, hey, try the medicine yourself and see what it's all about, because that way you'll get an idea of what you're giving your animal, your pet, because a lot of people have fears, man. They've been feared into believing the worst case scenario. As a matter of fact, this morning, somebody was asking me, hey, Jesse, can I give this to my doggy? Because the liver values have been elevated for some time. And my vet says that I can't give it to my dog because it'll ruin their liver. And I was like, in what world does that make sense? It's not going to cause any caustic issues, any detriment, any type of ill effects, but it could potentially help the liver to get those liver values back to normal. It's the opposite of what you've been told. So people do believe 100% believe what their vets tell them. And if the vet says something really uneducated because they don't know the real facts behind cannabis, they're not allowed to study it or even really talk about it. And so when they say certain things, they could misinform people, like you said, Sheri, and tell their clients, hey, THC is super toxic to dogs or cats or whoever. You can't give it to them. They could die. And it's like, oh, come on, man. You shouldn't. If you don't know, then maybe keep it to yourself, right? That whole thing about if you don't have anything nice to say, but
If you're not
at the
shooting
same,
facts back off, just
yeah,
don't say
man,
nothing
because
at all.
you're misinforming people.
Yeah.
And then now those people are going to be afraid of even trying. And I've heard people when they call us, hey, well, I'm one last question because my vet told me I can't give this to my dog. So what are your opinions about it? It's like, well, none of it's true. All of that is a fallacy, because at some point, the idea that their dog could get high and pass away, it's not even true. It's not even true.
Yeah, it's a shame that they're biased and they just heard it. They've heard that THC is toxic to dogs, like the same misinformation that goes around the general community, and they feel comfortable repeating that. They don't think that
It's
there's a
like
lot of
playing
downside to
telephone.
saying it.
But at the end of the line, they're just demonizing it. They're like, THC could kill you right now if you just touch it. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh, jeez.
What are you talking about, man?
I would have been dead 10 years ago, right?
Right? You remember back in the day, Jamie and Sheri, when we were younger, the propaganda videos of this is your brain, this is your brain on drugs. And
Yeah.
they would put the
Oh,
skillet,
that's a
with
classic.
the egg in it, and it would fry
Egg in the
egg
frying
and all that.
pan.
Everybody got scared into believing that
I'm old
THC
enough to remember
kill
that
you.
too. Was it
Yeah,
very
man.
live? I hate to
That's
say.
crazy, because now the opposite. We know the truth, right? The opposite. It's never gonna it's never gonna cook your brain.
Yeah.
It's just gonna make your brain better. It could potentially even take away seizures, take away brain
Mhm.
tumors. I mean, come on. It's crazy.
Oh, it's amazing what it does for seizures. That's incredible.
Speaking
I also
of
want
which,
to interrupt. I want to interrupt quickly with a comment from Peggy, who was kind enough to comment, but she has also been treating her two dogs. And one of them is already 14 years old and doing fantastic and playing in the 4 inches of snow outside her home, which is about
Wow.
how big it is outside my home right now too. So maybe she's kind of close. But yeah, so it's working for other people, and yeah, even for dogs who get, old, 12, 13, 14, it can still work even for older dogs. And really,
Mhm.
every dog at that age should probably take it preventively, in my opinion. At least CBD. At least CBD.
yeah, for sure. Anybody that is, even past the age of 30, a person past the age of 30, a dog past the age of 5, arthritis is usually the first thing that happens, and that's inflammation of the body. So if you can alleviate that, take all that inflammation away, then just imagine your dog cannot express how they feel, but if they have an ache or a pain, they're still going to go on walks with that ache and pain, but they're not going to complain because they're getting out of the house. They're going to go and have a good time. And so to give them some real relief from that, it shows very quickly. You could see it in their demeanor, the way that they behave with you. They're super happy. They're very much loving you and eating their food the way they're supposed to, going to the bathroom and
shaking their tails like crazy.
exactly. And it's nothing more than just a little bit of CBD daily that would do that for really anybody.
Yeah, and one other thing that's quite interesting. So there was a conference, Patients at a Time. It's like one of the biggest medical cannabis conferences in the country. But there was one great presentation where the doctor talked about how our own natural endocannabinoids, and I'm certain this is the case for dogs too, but he was talking about humans, but they decline as we age. So the cannabinoids that our bodies produce that are helping fight inflammation, helping fight cancer, those go down as we age. So that's why starting to supplement with phytocannabinoids when you start to get older, a human or dog, is a very reasonable thing to do, because you're just replacing what your body is naturally losing. So it kind of really almost becomes like a vitamin at that point, just to restore a compound that we need for our general balance and health.
We're going to do a little short clip down the road on the podcast that we did with Hempium. It was very informative, but when we first started with them, we were experimenting with ourselves, Isabel and I, with the CBD, because it was so pure and it worked so well. I got it to a point where I was taking 10 scoops of it, which is about 150 milligrams at a time, 3 times a day. And it was crazy, because any inflammation I had, I have a bad back, knees, ankles, I'm all jacked up, but my whole body, it felt like, wow, almost like I was floating on air. It was a trip. I wasn't high and I wasn't feeling altered or anything, but I just felt super elevated where my body could handle things. And I started working out again, started doing things that allowed me to be more active. And
I remember you lost weight quick.
yeah, I lost a ton of weight, like 30, 40 pounds, something like that, right off the bat. And I didn't even realize it, but after we spoke to Hempium, they told us that CBD in super high dosages decouples fat from your body, stored fat. And that's what was happening. I would wake up like after sleeping, like a pound or 2 lighter the next morning.
Wow.
Well, we
I was
got our
like,
next
oh,
breakthrough
okay,
weight loss drug on our hands here now.
Can I get a
crazy.
bucket of it, please?
Yeah, right.
You could actually from it.
It's just that good. I was telling my brother about it, and he started taking it, and he started noticing the same thing. Everybody that was taking it in high dosages noticed the same thing.
And just to
Wow.
remind people, you were in the Marines, so a lot of your pain, probably came from the training or, that time there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, my ankles got busted up, my back. I fell off a cliff. I broke ankles. I got
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we got some injuries there. But for me, it's been a godsend, because without it, if you guys would see my routine, I go straight from being asleep into the kitchen and I make myself a CBD drink every single
awesome.
morning. And then before lunch, I have another one. And then before bed, I have another one. And that's my routine. I don't deviate. As a matter of fact, I'm so much the stickler. If we go on vacation, if we go on a trip, if we get out of the house even, I'll take a drink with me and have it ready so I can drink it because I need it. And it's not, some people say, so does that make you dependent or are you going to be addicted to it? Well, the fact that I need it in order to help me feel better and it does do what it's supposed to, then I guess I am addicted. But in the fact that if I stop taking it, I wouldn't have any ill effects. I would just miss it, right? And that's where people get confused. The fact that I'm addicted to it, not so much because it's forcing me to be addicted, but I'm addicted to it because of how I feel with it. Mm-hmm. And if I don't take it, I know how I feel with that, without it. So yeah, I love taking it. I'm a true believer in it, and I take it every day.
It's almost like we're addicted to food because if we don't eat, then we'll get sick. It's like a different, it's a different kind of addiction. Like,
yeah, I need it. What the heck?
There's a couple comments to throw in. First, Peggy, who we had mentioned before, her dog had malignant melanoma in the gingiva, or gingiva, sorry about the pronunciation there, but there are no signs now, and it hasn't traveled to the lymph nodes. Definitely want to follow up with you, Peggy, about what you did to achieve that. Also, Jim is reminding people, he's sorry he can't make it today, but he's reminding people to pet your dog with purpose. So always do that to see if anything's wrong, and start, attacking it early. And another question here from Amanda, which is good for you, Jesse. Any clue if it can work for atrial fibrillation or, AFib or heart issues? Right now for her, CBD is helping with a murmur. And I know, just real fast, I can say that there is a study showing that CBD can help with a regular heartbeat. There was some where you take it, Jesse, while I look up that study again.
Yeah, it's actually,
what do you think?
Myocarditis. So myocarditis, irregular heartbeats, heart murmurs, even plaque in the heart has been shown now to be either improved or facilitated in a better manner when you introduce CBD in combination with some amount of THC or CBG. Now, the CBG part of it, though, if we could just give a person or a dog or whoever has these issues with their heart, pure CBG, that would be the way to go. But CBG is very unstable. You can't harvest it and have a true CBG product unless it's a nano product. If it's oil suspended, it's already going to decay and it becomes CBD or THC. Stuff you guys don't need to know about, but just know CBG is the one that's going to help the heart the most, but CBD does it as, pretty well as well.
Yeah, CBG is such an underrated cannabinoid, and it's kind of the next kid on the block. I think it's still so early. CBD is still dramatically more popular than CBG, but it's really popular.
Well, we just got some from Hempium. It's a nano powder as well, CBG, and the stuff works amazing. We are recommending it.
Okay, so it's the same CBD nano that you've been recommending, but the CBG version. Okay.
Yeah, it's just 100% CBG. It's bioavailable up to 96%. It's 26% potent. The stuff's amazing, and it's stable, which means when you take it, you're actually getting CBG into your system, not CBD or THC.
Excellent. And I also just want to note that Peggy had actually, for her dog with melanoma, had used your protocol, the Healing Project protocol, which we have.
Is it Peggy?
We have that available on vecoplaybook.org now under the interventions, plant-based medicines for dogs tab. So anybody can see, exactly what to do and, see how it works for your dog.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, she just started with us a little while ago, but yeah, Peggy.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a small world when it comes to this field.
Crazy.
Is Sheri still on?
Nice. Well, it's looking like we got about 3 minutes left. Any closing statements from anybody here?
Well, I do want to thank Sheri very, very much for being on the podcast with us today
And for spreading the word, man.
and for being so,
It's been amazing that you can tell people your
You know,
experience.
I'm very passionate about it because I've seen what it's done for my animals. I've seen the quality of life that it's given them in their cancer journey, and the quality of life is given me because of the quality of life that they have because of it. And like I said, it just changed my whole mindset from the word cancer is not so scary to me anymore. And I tell people all the time, like, don't use this as something after nothing else has worked. Go right
Mhm.
to this. Like, don't waste time. You know what I mean? Like, do your research, learn everything you can, because ultimately it's your decision of how you want to treat your pets, or yourself or whatever. But don't waste time. Don't wait around and see if nothing else works, then come to this. Go to this first, because that's what I did. I immediately jumped on it and I didn't go with anything else. But don't be afraid.
it's funny you
This
say
is my
that, Sherry,
third go around.
because just the other day somebody called us and they said that they initially talked to us about 2 years ago, and then they reached out to us again 2 years later and said, man, I really wish I would have moved forward because I had 2 dogs pass away in that amount of time from
Wow.
cancer. And now I have a 3rd dog, so I'm finally going to move forward. And it's like, wow, man, that's crazy.
Wow. Like I said, I did the chemo thing one time and I'm like, I just didn't see his quality of life was not there. He was so sick. And granted, not every dog, has that hard of a time, but I do know a lot that have, and I don't ever want to do that to one of my dogs. And even if, God forbid, I didn't get all this time, at least I knew they felt great during the time that I had them.
Right.
True.
Increased
And
quality
that's
of
what's
life.
most
Amazing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sheri, we thank you so much for coming on and joining with us today and telling us your story. Jesse and Isabel, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on.
Thank you,
guys.
Jamie.
Thank you guys seriously for everything that we continue to do as a team. This just keeps growing and getting better and better, and we are helping patient autonomy for both humans and dogs. So if you are listening and you are somebody who is battling cancer, or maybe you have a dog that's battling cancer, if you go to fecoplaybook.org, we have some information available for you, and we can help connect you with Jesse and Isabel if you would like a one-on-one consultation. Justin, we ready to wrap this up?
Yes. One last pet with purpose reminder, that's why we're here, trying to prevent and get cancers or any issues early. So remember to do that. And thank you so much for tuning in. This was a really, really great one. I know people came out with a lot, and we're excited to have you on whenever it happens again. Jesse and
Thank you,
Isabel, thank you
guys.
so much for coming on, Sheri. You were truly amazing here.
Thank you for having me. It was great
Thank
to
you,
talk to you
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye
care.
now.
Bye bye. Have a great day.